Hello and welcome back to Film Exaggeration.
Lindsey Lohan has certainly had an interesting career, hasn't she? Starting out at Disney making films like The Parent Trap, Freaky Friday, and Get a Clue, she then became a household name with the 2004 cult hit Mean Girls. But not long after that, things started to go downhill. Herbie Fully Loaded made some decent money, but no one really cared about it. Bobby had good intentions, but failed to make much of a dent at the box office. Chapter 27 was apparently not controversial enough since I had never even heard about it until doing this review. And just my luck, I saw once, but barely remember. And it also has one of the most unnecessarily long Rotten Tomatoes consensus ever.
But that's all small fry compared to the 2007 megabomb, I Know Who Killed Me.
Directed by Chris Silverstein and written by Jeff Hammond, released in summer 2007, the movie has been considered one of the worst movies ever made. Not only did it fail to make back its $12 million budget, but everyone hated it. Richard Roeper not only named it as his worst film of that year, but as the worst movie of the 2000s. But the real kicker is the movie held the record for the most Razzie wins until Jack and Jill topped it about 4 years later. It received Worst Director, Screenplay, Actress, Ripoff, Couple, Horror Movie, and Picture. But I find it weird that I haven't seen many people talk about this movie. It seems like this should be one of those that's brought up more and reviewed more, similar to Geely. But if you remember my review, I didn't think that movie was that bad, so maybe I'll think the same for this.
But there's only one way to find out. This is I Know Who Killed Me.
We start out in the slums at a strip club called Strips because, well, why beat around the bush? Inside we see Lohan partaking in the saddest striptease ever put to film. And no, we don't ever get to see her tits. We get to see other dancers' tits, but not hers. Although we do see a lot of red. A lot of red. And then she dies. Okay. We then see Lohan in a classroom reading a story. Lohan plays Aubrey Fleming, aka Miss Perfect. She's a talented writer, plays piano, gets straight A's, and is so attractive that even creepy gardeners want to sleep with her. But she's also quirky enough to own a hairless cat, and pretentious enough to write stories that sound like this.
She always felt like half a person with half a soul. Sometimes, if she dreamed hard enough, she could bring the two halves together.
Ugh, this is the type of thing Maddie would write to piss off the nuns.
She also has a boyfriend named Gerard, played by Brian Jarrety. Yes, I know it's pronounced Jared, but it's spelled like Gerard. If you wanted to be called Jared, you would spell it with an I. Gerard gives her a blue rose because colors. During class, the teacher informs them that the one of their classmates named Jennifer was found dead, and I know I'm only 10 minutes in, but already I'm noticing a huge problem. It keeps jumping around. Every scene lasts for about a minute before going on to the next one. It just feels incredibly rushed, and the tone is wildly inconsistent. For example, look at this part where we transition from a coroner describing Jennifer's autopsy to Aubrey arriving at home.
Near lethal levels of amphetamines, inducing a state of forced alertness, suggesting the killer wanted the victim fully conscious during each limb removal.
Well, that completely ruined any sense of dread that scene had. That night at a football game, okay, so I'm guessing this is going to be one of those movies. You know, the ones that use stylish directing tricks for no other reason than it looks cool. I mean, in Schindler's List, the red coat meant something. I don't really get what you're going for here. So Aubrey leaves the game with her friends, one of which is played by Lonely Girl 15, if you can believe it. Aubrey runs to get Gerard, but notices the creepy gardener.
The fuck just happened?
Hey, where's Aubrey?
What?
Wait, what?
Oh, okay, I guess she was kidnapped. Alright.
My name's Blurry Face and I care what you think.
No. Okay, guess we're done with that. So we see the FBI doing FBI things.
Jesus. Well, I hope our little investigation doesn't interfere with bingo night.
Was there a point to that? Was it necessary, or did you need to split up the torture parts? Aubrey tries to reach for something, but it then dissolves to a woman talking on her cell phone while driving.
Crazy women drivers?
Oh, okay, apparently she escaped. Guess it makes sense. Didn't see her captured, so we don't get to see her escape. She wakes up in the hospital, but minus a few appendages.
Oh my god.
Well, that sucks.
He wasn't done with Aubrey Fleming, not by a long shot. He only had her for what, 17, 18 days?
Wait, really? This movie is so bad at conveying time, I honestly thought she was only gone for about a day and a half. But it turns out there may be a little more wrong with Aubrey than they originally thought.
Who is Aubrey?
Well, that's not good, but you want to know what's even worse? All the fucking cross dissolves in this movie!
I swear this thing has more cross dissolves than Norm of the North. So Aubrey now thinks she is a woman named Dakota Moss, a stripper who lost her mother to a drug overdose. Aubrey's mother, played by Julia Ormond, comes to visit her, bringing some of her stuff to hopefully jog her memory.
Make you feel more at home.
This is Mr. Jervis.
Now this face is important because this is the face you will be making throughout the whole film. So it turns out Dakota has a full backstory. After her mother died, she became a stripper like we saw at the beginning.
Seriously, how are the strip scenes this bad? You have Lindsey Lohan doing a stripper dance. How is this one of the unsexiest things I've ever seen?
Oh, by the way, on the DVD, you can see an extended version of this. They actually felt the need to fucking advertise that on the back of the case. She is given a robotic hand and leg as she is finally brought home with the police guarding outside. Gerard comes in, and I do have to say, his performance here is fantastic. I feel so freaking sorry for this guy. He completely sells the idea that his girlfriend doesn't remember who he is. They go upstairs to have one of the unsexiest sex scenes I have ever seen in my life. And I swear, if he fucks the memory back into her, I'm gonna go outside and throw myself in front of a truck. Aubrey Coda explains how she got all cut up. One night while working at the club.
Speaking of which, did any of the FBI agents look in to see if this place actually exists?
But anyway, her finger just split open, turned blue, and eventually fell off. Of course, her reaction is a little less intense than you'd expect. So she ran out and tried to get help, but collapsed, and that's when they found her. Gerard manages to help her sneak past the FBI as she heads over to Jennifer's house, where of course her parents give her a very warm welcome.
Why did you have to come here, Aubrey? You still got your life. Nobody in this house has any left. And you're not cooperating with the police. I've heard all about it. You know, you can help find the monster.
I realize you're going through some tough times right now, but in the end, she was still the one who was tortured.
Eventually, the parents come to get her, and the FBI finally come back with a DNA sample proving that she is in fact Aubrey Fleming. But Aubrey Coda isn't so sure, as she believes that she is actually Aubrey's twin. And the reason she got all cut up is because of sympathetic resonance. I'm not really sure if that's how it works, but whatever, it's a movie, I'll allow it. Also, good thing they didn't take a fingerprint sample, as that would prove that they were different people. But her mother informs her that she isn't a twin by showing her ultrasound. Thank God she kept that. Although I will say this scene actually is pretty decent. It's well acted, well shot, and the music is good. Aubrey notices a trophy similar to the one she saw at Jennifer's, and here's where it starts to get weird. But then we get the twist. Turns out, she actually is her twin.
I know what you did, Daniel. Susan's baby died in the incubator, and you bought Aubrey from the crackhead down the hall because she had one to spare.
You're
not
Aubrey.
Me.
Hey,
Not
you're
me,
Aubrey.
Daniel.
You were
I'm
kidnapped
not
and
Aubrey.
you're hurt and
Daniel,
you're home
I'm
now.
not Aubrey. I'm her twin. Stop it! A little cash on an ongoing basis. One hits the jackpot. The other one gets stuck with Virginia Sue Moss.
Okay, enough. Okay, just. I'm tired of this shit.
Oh my god. You're a horrible person.
Congratulations, Humphrey, Lloyd, and Peter. We now officially have the worst parent in the history of fiction. Fuck you! Also, thank God these two look exactly the same. I know they're identical twins, but you'd think one of them would dye their hair, or be a little fatter, or have a birthmark or something. Dakota goes to Jennifer's grave and finds a blue ribbon.
It's okay, it's me.
I know who killed me.
Roll credits.
Also, that really doesn't work when nobody's died yet and you weren't the one being tortured.
No, look.
Wait, who's the killer?
So they head to where they believe Aubrey is. Of course, they don't call the police.
We really shouldn't go up there without letting somebody know.
We don't have enough time.
Yeah, but you could still call the cops so they at least know who to look for. Aubrey's dad, Daniel, heads in, but eventually Dakota goes in to help. Inside, we get one of the most inept fight scenes I've ever witnessed as Dakota cuts off the killer's hand. She sees that he killed the dad. Good. But the killer sneaks up behind her and ties her up. And now we finally get to see who the murderer is.
The piano teacher? The piano teacher we only saw once? Oh my god. This is just an R-rated Scooby-Doo episode. It even has a red herring with that gardener. Why else would he be in the movie? He doesn't do anything.
All over.
This piano music is giving me serious flashbacks to Manos: The Hands of Fate. Dakota digs up Aubrey as the two lie down, and I'm just assuming they die since they never call the police and are both bleeding. A lot. And we don't see how this affects the police, her mother, Gerard, her friends, anyone. It just ends.
Or at least that's one way of looking at it.
With all the heavy-handed symbolism in this movie, of course there are other ways to interpret it. One is actually the alternate ending that's on the DVD that shows that none of this actually happened, and it's actually a story written by a girl, played by Lohan, but not actually Aubrey or Dakota. You can tell because she's wearing purple, and since Aubrey is blue and Dakota is red, they mix to get purple. And the other theory is that Dakota is a figment of Aubrey's imagination as she lies there slowly dying, as she never actually escaped and came up with Dakota to cope with the pain and trauma. She must have a really low opinion of her father. So you either get the sad ending, the contrived ending, or one of the biggest bullshit twists in movie history.
Yeah, it is.
This movie was just boring and annoying. The sad thing is, the story itself actually has some potential, but the directing is so terrible it kills any chance it has. The editing is inept, the heavy-handed symbolism is annoying, the transitions are lazy, and the effects are way too over the top. Apparently there was a lot cut from the film, including a whole subplot involving another victim, and when you really think about it, the torture scenes were mostly pointless outside of the gore factor. I actually think it would have been a lot more effective if they implied the torture scenes while showing Dakota's destabilizing condition. The acting also isn't that good. Lohan definitely tries, but she never comes off as convincing. And this pretty much put a giant halt to her career. Besides Machete, most of her roles after this were either cameos or TV movies. But I really want her to make a comeback. I grew up watching her movies, and she is really talented. I just want her to be given the chance to be in a really good movie that does well at the box office.
But we're gonna have to wait to see how that turns out. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.